This is Ida and Louise Cook, and how these women do not have a movie made about them, I will never know. Theirs has got to be one of the most remarkable stories to come out of World War II. Ida, over here, became a hugely successful author. She published well over 100 romance novels with Mills and Boon. She was like one of their star authors. But that's not what this story is about. In the lead up to World War II, these two ladies managed to smuggle out, rescue and assist 29 Jewish people escape the clutches of the Nazis. So what you need to know about these sisters is that they never married, they stayed close their entire life. In fact, they lived with their parents their entire lives. They came through the First World War, there was a big shortage of men, so there were lots of women who just weren't partnered up, and to be honest, they never really seemed that interested in it. They were working as civil servants in London, and their huge passion, the thing that they loved, was opera. They were opera groupies. They would save up all of their money and they would travel to Europe to watch the big opera stars of the day, and they would hang out at the stage door waiting for an autograph, waiting for a photograph. And this was how they met an Austrian director called Clemens Krauss and his wife, who was an opera singer, who was called Violika Ursulak. And they actually become really, really good friends with them. And they're travelling all over Europe to watch them perform. Amsterdam, Austria, all over the place. And Violika asks the sisters if one of her friends could come to London to stay with them in their house. And the friend was called Mialita Mializman, and she duly came over. And the sisters hadn't realised that Mialita was Jewish. It didn't really mean very much to them. They really weren't aware of political events at all. They just freaking loved opera. But after speaking to Mialita, and this is sort of around the mid to late 1930s now, they learn what is happening to the Jewish people in German-occupied lands. And they are really, really shocked. And they ask the question, why can't you leave? Why aren't people leaving? Why aren't Jewish families leaving? There are multiple reasons for that, but a really big one is the fact that although the Nazis were quite happy for the Jews to leave, they would take all of their money. They would tax them to the point where they had absolutely nothing left. And then they're in a double bind because no country will take them in unless they can prove that they've actually got enough money to be able to set up a life over there. So this situation meant it was almost impossible for German people to get out. And then the sisters came up with an idea. What they did, these two middle-aged British spinsters, they decided that they would use the fact that they had been travelling all over Europe as a cover, and they would smuggle the life savings of Jewish families and Jewish people out of the country. They would liquidate all of their assets and convert it into portable wealth, jewels, furs, money that could be strapped onto them, and that's what they would smuggle out of the country back to the UK. And it was about this time that Ida started to write for Mills and Boon, so suddenly she's got a lot more disposable income, which means they can make more trips. And they did this with the help